Hey, Paul, welcome to New York. I'm just wondering if you could describe for us the circumstances by which you heard you were becoming a Yankee and just what your initial reaction was.
Obviously I was really excited and, free agency is kind of a long, slow process, but it kind of looked like it was kind of coming to a head there. It's been a couple of weeks now, but, we're just got to a point where there was a decision to be made. And for me, I was very, very excited to be a Yankee and just glad it worked out and still have that excitement and gonna, looking forward to getting ready to spring training, getting with all the guys and then for the long season and hopefully have a great year.
Your career speaks for itself, MVP, Gold Gloves, more than 2,000 hits. But if I were to ask Paul Goldschmidt to give a scouting report on Paul Goldschmidt, what are the attributes that you would cite?
For me, I really just try to focus on the things I can control. I've always tried to do that. And so just try to show up and give it my best every day, play as hard as I can, try to help the team win. There's a lot of things out of your control. There's a ton of ups and downs in this game. And for me, try to just, not get too high, not get too low and try to take care of the fundamentals, play good defense, be a good base runner, obviously hit and just all those things that are needed and help the team, try to help us win as many games as I can any way possible. And, looking forward to doing that this year.
Thank you.
We can go next to Brendan Cuddy with The Athletic.
Paul, thank you for taking the time today. If you look at your last season, a little bit of a rough start, strong second half, what would you say changed from that first half to the second half, and what makes you feel like that's the guy more so?
Yeah, I didn't play well most of the year last year, and there's no excuses for that. That was on me. But, hopefully looking back, there was a lot of things I learned. I know there is a lot of things that I learned in that first half, some things that I did wrong that got exposed and just, wasn't hitting pitches that, for most of my career I've been able to connect on. And, things that the opponents were doing, whether they were pitching me different or stuff like that. So it was a year where, I didn't perform my best at all. And like I said, no excuses, but I think learning from that and going through that process of trying to make those adjustments and got to a spot second half where I played better. And I think I can still play at a really, really high level. I know, I hope every guy in Major League Baseball feels that and has that confidence, and I do. But, I think was able to make some of those adjustments. Some of those were mechanical with my swing, and some of those are approach wise, and just continue to work on those and control those, get in a good position to hit, just to keep it very simple. I'm a pretty simple hitter, and I just wasn't consistently doing that last year. I was very honest with a lot of the media in St. Louis and anyone else who asked that I was just not performing well. And but I think the good part of that is, I was able to learn from it and make those adjustments and be ready to go this year.
And how would you describe your relationship with Aaron Judge?
I don't know him extremely well. It's not that we've played together, but, I got the opportunity to meet him and, stay in touch with him. And I know, it was written, how we got together a few years ago and hit. And, that's something I've always tried to do is find great hitters or great players or coaches and just try to, seek them out and try to learn from them. So that was great. A few years ago, him and I were able to meet up for a day and have lunch, hit together. And a few other guys were there. LeMahieu was there. And so that was great. And so then we've just stayed in touch. And, he's one of the best hitters in the world, maybe the best hitter. And, as a right-handed power hitter, a guy that I'm very, very excited to play with and get to see him work every day. And, he's just one of the best.
Thank you, Paul.
We can go next to Gary Phillips, The Daily News.
Hey, Paul, congrats. Welcome to New York. Happy New Year. Just to follow up on the mechanical adjustments, are you able to share any details on what some of those changes were?
No, not too many details, but I just think it was just, something was a little off, and it was just kind of create these bad habits where, in my mind, that was what happened. And it just took me a while to kind of get back to, really just a good position to hit. If y'all, if we talk a lot this year, that's the thing I talk about. I think it's the most important thing. You get in a good, strong position to hit, then you're able to, put a good swing off on the ball. But if you're kind of off with that, you're just kind of playing uphill the whole time and just trying to play catch up. You almost got to be perfect with your swing, and we just can't do that enough. The pitchers are too good, and there's no one that can really do that. You can kind of see it as guys struggle. I mean, guys do it differently. Some guys get on their front foot or back foot or hands or lower half or whatever it is. But, we all, when we get to that strong point, that's where every hitter that's ever played, is their best. And, I was just struggling to find that, and then just took me longer than it ever has to get back to it. And that's part of the game. Like I said, there's no excuses. And I think trying different things, trying different drills, kind of figured out some things that worked for me, and some things that didn't work. I've always tried to be open-minded and not try to just say, well, this is how I've always hit. This is what I got to do. And so every time I look back on my career, whether it's in the major leagues, the minors, even, amateur baseball, there's times I struggle, they actually can lead to success because you learn from it. And as much as I hated that, and, as many swings as I took and times I got out when the game was on the line, or, where I felt like it cost us a game, I hated that at the time. But looking back, hopefully it'll be a good thing.
Gotcha. And then I was also curious, the Yankees have a player, Ben Rice, who came up a catcher, but spent a lot of time learning first base last year. Just what are your thoughts on possibly mentoring a young guy like him?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do whatever I can to help guys. And I had so many great players that helped me when I was a young player. So I'm forever grateful for those guys, and they sped up the learning curve. So whether it's him or any other player, there's anything that was taught to me, because anything I know about baseball or life, someone else taught it to me. So if there's any of those experiences I've gone through that I can help any other players, I mean, it's something I'll try to do, and excited to do it.
Thanks.
You can go next to Ron Blum with the AP.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
We got you, Ron.
Okay. Hi, Paul. Thanks for doing this. You mentioned before, in addition to the mechanical adjustments, you had to make a bunch of mental adjustments. What did that involve?
Well, the game's always changing, and I think just, the way guys are pitching or what pitches are coming at you. So I think it's a lot of small stuff, but I think there's times where maybe I was patient and they would just, pitchers were just getting ahead very quickly, and I was just sitting there in an 0-2, 1-2 count. I know I hit with 2 strikes more than I ever have last year. And so I think just kind of understanding some of the changes that are going on, and I think hopefully, learn from those. And I feel like I was able to do it, especially there at the end of the year, but, every year is a new year, and just continue to learn, and the pitchers will evolve, and everything will evolve. And it's always that cat and mouse game, but, just trying to learn that stuff and continue to learn and adapt.
And looking back at the 2 days you spent at Driveline last offseason, how did what you learned in the evaluations they did there mesh with trying to execute and then the slump you went into early in the season?
Yeah, I don't think that they really had anything to do with each other. There was, unfortunately, just the path that I was on. I'm thankful for the time I spent out there, and I learned a lot from those guys, and they're really smart. So it didn't affect my play, and I want to always be open-minded, and there's stuff I learned from them that I can still work into my game. There's some stuff that I thought maybe wouldn't work for me, and stuff like that. I've always tried to do that. Like I said, whether that's hitting with Judge or other retired players, or other places like Driveline. I think the only reason that kind of maybe is getting talked about is because it's social media now. There's a lot of things I've done that people don't know about. And so, like I said, I want to be open-minded, and I always want to keep improving and not just say, oh, well, I had a good year, or this is what I did in previous years, so I'm going to do that. And so that was just an example of that, trying to learn from people who are having success in this game. And, like I said, I learned from them. I'm grateful for that experience. And, some things I'll still do, and some things that maybe, I won't, that I learned from them.
I didn't mean they were tied together. I meant more that they give you the stuff based on that on paper. How does that translate as you try to execute it on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think the thing for me was, like I said, I just kind of created a few bad habits in my swing. If I was just going to say how it happened and just really wasn't able to break them. And so I said this to a lot of people last year when, I was struggling too. I think it's easy to look at somebody when they're struggling and say what's wrong. It's not always easy to say how to fix it or for us to actually fix it or make those adjustments. And so everyone's different. You could look at two swings, and for one guy, you may say, hey, stay back, and that makes it worse. Another guy, that fixes the problem. And so that was kind of what, I think just learning, there's just stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I think everyone thinks when a guy's struggling, they have the answers, and it's this game's really hard, as everyone here knows. And for me, it's just showing up and trying to do the best I can. I don't know if that answers it, but yeah, I mean, there's when you're struggling, it's one of those things that happens, and sometimes it just, you come out of it, quickly, and other times you don't. And then, like I said, for me, it's just looking back and hopefully learning from last year, and I feel like I did, so that I can perform better this year.
Thank you.
We can go next to Bruce Beck.
Hey, Paul, welcome to New York.
Thank you.
What have you thought of the Yankees over the years? What have you thought about them? And what do you think about them now, just as a franchise?
I mean, I think number one, I'm very excited to be part of the franchise and the history they have. I mean, I think every baseball fan, especially as a kid, knows what they've been able to do, and all the World Series titles, not just in baseball, but they're kind of prowess across all of professional sports. So definitely knew that as a kid, and was a diehard baseball fan, and watched them play. I mean, that was when I was a teenager, and all that was right when they were winning, all those World Series, and with Jeter and all those guys. So of course, the Yankees in any kid's kind of psyche they're just an amazing franchise. And, I've been pretty fortunate. I've played with a lot of guys that have spent some time, in New York with the Yankees. And I think that stuck out in this process when it, started to become real about time to make a decision. And, as you're trying to learn about different organizations, just thinking back, that I don't remember hearing a bad thing about the Yankees. All the players that have played there spoke very highly about everyone in the organization and the city and the fan base. I mean, we know it's such a passionate fan base, and, that gets all the players excited, and we want to go out there and play well and win and celebrate with them.
Judge, Stanton, Bellinger, Goldschmidt, how good do you think this lineup could be?
We're going to find out. Y'all see, it's not in my genes to make predictions. I think, we just got to go out there and do our jobs, but we definitely have the talent. The expectations are high. And, I think the players all, I would assume, welcome that. I haven't got to talk to too many, and I know we'll all get together in Tampa in spring training, but I mean, a team that was in the World Series last year was so close to winning it all. And, the expectations the franchise has every year. I mean, I'm assuming those will be the same expectations, and something I'm excited to be part of.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
We can go next to Brian Hope with MLB.com.
Hey, Paul, you've played 6 career games at Yankee Stadium. The numbers are good there. What do you think a full season could do offensively for you?
I mean, hopefully great, but, we never know. That's the plan. So, I mean, for me, is, again, just trying to put in the work every day. And I know that's kind of the boring answer, but I think, I'd love to play amazing. I'd love for the team to play amazing and win the whole thing. I mean, I think that's where my mindset is at. I mean, of course, I'd love to have a great individual year, but most importantly, it's about the team. That's always how I've been, even, just growing up. My parents wouldn't have it any other way. But I think the way to have a great season as a team and individually is just focus on those fundamentals, focus on the things, I can control, and just work as hard as I can every day. Be ready for spring training, be ready for the long season. If we can show up every day, play as hard as we can, try to win as many as we can, hopefully get in the playoffs, and then same thing, just try to do that. So as amazing and as great as that is, and we want to think about the end, I think, for me, it's just really taking it day by day and putting everything I have into that, and hopefully it'll be great.
What excites you about that environment and playing in New York?
I love it. I've always loved it. For me, when I came up and playing with the Diamondbacks on the West Coast, it was kind of Dodger Stadium, and San Francisco was going through that run when I, came up in 11. That was when they won 3 out of 5 years World Series, and that place was as tough as any. And for me, just playing there as a visiting player was always kind of the most fun. Even, being in St. Louis and having the Cardinals Cubs rivalry, or, having the amazing opportunity to play in the playoffs or play for Team USA, all those big games is something I've loved. Those are my best memories. And so, we were at Yankee Stadium this year, September 1st to the end of August, and just to feel the energy walking out of the dugout, that was really fun. We were, it was something I was excited about, and the energy's high every game there, and something I'm looking forward to.
Thank you.
We can go next to Dan Martin, the New York Post.
Hey, Paul. As someone who's been around for a while playing first base, I was curious what your perspective was for a guy like Pete Alonso, who's in the middle of his career. He's in free agency. It seems like the mega huge $200, $300 million contracts around baseball haven't really been there for first basemen in the last 10 or 15 years. Why do you think that is? What's your thoughts on that?
Y'all probably know a lot more than I do. For me, y'all learn. I just try to keep my head down and play. And, this is my first time through free agency, so I didn't really know what he's going through. But Pete's an amazing player. I've got to know him as well. And I think wherever he ends up, he's gonna have a great career. He's already had a great one. As far as, the finances and economics of it, I think that's a question I don't know enough about to really speak to. But wherever he ends up, that team's going to be a lucky team.
Thanks.
We can go next to Randy Miller with NJ.com.
Hi, Paul. I'm wondering your thoughts of what the Yankees have done this offseason. Obviously, they tried to get Soto, made him a big offer. Were you following that? And then they bring you in, they bring Bellinger in. What do you thought of the moves? Devin Williams, Max Fried. Some people think that they might be a better team now than the World Series team. And then also, just curious how much coming to a chance to win. You haven't been to the playoffs the last couple of years, and you didn't get through the first round, I think, only twice in your career. What's your thoughts on those?
I think on the second question, I think that was the top priority. It was go to a team that was going to have an opportunity to win the World Series. And every team that I was really engaged with was in that same boat. They wanted to win. And that was something that, as I get towards the end of my career, was something that was probably the top priority for me. And I was very honest with all those teams and thankful for the opportunities I had in Arizona and also St. Louis. We came up short, which was disappointing, but, to get those opportunities to be in the playoffs, I think 6 times in my career, it was the most fun. Those are my best memories, or even playing for Team USA, stuff like that. So I think just having those positive memories and experiences makes it, you want to do that. So obviously the Yankees have a great shot. I was watching Soto. Everyone was watching, everyone wanted to see where he was going to end up. Again, potentially the best hitter on the planet, one of them for sure, and had such a great year. So, happy for him. And again, he's going to play great for the Mets. And, I faced Devin Williams a lot. I joked with, I think, Cashman or Booney that I was just happy I didn't have to face him anymore because I don't think my numbers were very good. So that was obviously he's been a really good, pitcher, and same with Fried and Bailey. I played against these guys a lot. And so, hopefully we can go out there and play well, plus already a great core that was there. And, I think the mindset, without having talked to too many guys, I just have to assume from the World Series last year is try to do it again. We got to start. Everyone starts 0-0. So it's a long road and don't look too far ahead. But, the Yankees always have the expectation, the fans and the ownership and the whole organization, was win the World Series. That was similar to how it was in St. Louis too. And that's fun. That's what we want as players. We have high expectations too. So I'm excited about it.
One more thing quickly. You're 37. How many more years do you want to play? And when you were struggling last year early on, were you thinking at all, maybe this is it for me, or that never went through your mind?
Well, as far as I don't know how long I want to play, I want to play at a high level. So I think, that was frustrating to not play well. And, but I still felt like the feeling was just like, man, I'm better than this. So, that was kind of my feeling last year, but you got to go out and prove it. If you don't perform, then, you're not going to be playing. And I think, that's just the truth in this game and in life. And that's something we've all dealt with, really our whole lives. I mean, it goes back to even before we were in professional baseball, but of course that, we're getting paid to do a job. And so I take it very serious, and I just tried to, again, put in as much work as I can. And if, I didn't play well, at least I would have no regrets, and, just continue to work, continue to do everything I can to try to help the team win. And I mean, y'all know this. I mean, sometimes you can go for 4 and make a great play on D, and we win 2-1, and you can have good games. And so I think sometimes when we're struggling, just continue to focus on the team. That's the most important thing. And even when we're going good, it's not about us. And that's just the way I was taught to play. And I know the Yankees team does that the same way. So excited to be part of it.
We can go next to Ed Randall.
Paul, welcome to New York. What has been your impressions as a visiting player being in the city of New York through the years? And also any memorable games at Citi Field or in the 6 games at Yankee Stadium that you recall?
I mean, obviously there's a ton of energy in the city, and, most of them were just coming to play the Mets, but, I mean, I loved it. I was always excited about it. And the fans bring a ton of energy, and they really want their team to win. And, they're part of the game, and whether, that's trying to influence the opponent, and, they're a very passionate fan base, and that's exciting because we're very passionate about trying to win too. And I always enjoyed that. I always just tried to soak up the energy and soak up all that. We have 162 games, and sometimes it's just some games that maybe kind of lull you to sleep in the middle. And so it's nice when you would come and have, a high energy game that the fans would kind of bring, and you feel like you could kind of, help step your game up. So I love that. Memorable games. I don't know. I've had some good games and some bad games, at Citi Field there, and just tried to enjoy the good ones, and obviously forget about the bad ones. And the Yankee Stadium, it was weird just because I never played there. I played there like 2013. I remember hitting a home run there against Sabathia when he was, really dominating. Those Yankees were dominating. So that was kind of cool as a younger player. I think before I'd even been to the All-Star game or anything like that. So that was, that's something that every player kind of looks forward to, is playing in kind of those iconic stadiums. And if there's another memory, I think really coming to the All-Star game in 2013, I know it was at Citi Field, but just to feel the passion in the city for baseball, that was really, really cool. I enjoyed that. And, they were, cheering for me because I was playing in the NL and it was in Citi Field. So that was kind of different versus, fans maybe trying to rag you and give you a hard time. And then probably this year at Yankee Stadium as well, just not have been back for over 10 years. And I know I've used the word a lot, but just feeling the energy in the stadium, and how much the fans, how passionate they are, how much they want the team to win. And that was just a really fun experience to, do that.
With the short porch, don't you wish you could bat left-handed?
Yeah, you take advantage of that, but so does the other team. So I think it's just all part of the game. And, I get asked a lot of questions like from golfers and stuff like, hey, can you aim the ball? It's like, we just really can't aim the ball. We're not good enough. It's coming so hard, and, the wind and all that, just some of that's just out of our control. And so, I always just try to have a good at bat. You'll hear me say that a lot, and hit the ball hard. And unfortunately after that, it's out of our control. Sometimes that's good because the bloopers drop in, or maybe there's a short porch somewhere. And other times, sometimes you fly out to the track and the wind's blowing in. So it's just part of it. And I really try not to think about it too much, and just try to control what I can control and try to help us win.
Good luck, and thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take the final 2 questions in queue. We can go next to Peter Splendorio, the Daily News.
Hi, Paul. You mentioned this is your first time in free agency. Just what was that experience like for you, and what maybe stood out from the Yankees sales pitch that made you feel like this was the right fit?
I think the thing that stood out, fortunately, I'd seen so many guys go through it. So I think my expectations were pretty good, where maybe if this happened earlier in my career, you're not as understanding of what it's going to be, but it's just a slow process. And even October, I wasn't in the playoffs. So you got October, and then you have all November, and, it's pretty slow there. So I think just being patient, and that was kind of something that I just I didn't know what to expect. I didn't have any expectations. I didn't know what teams would be interested. I just knew the process would be slow and to really be patient. And, that's exactly what happened is, you never know if something at the winter meetings and then, nothing was like really happening. And then right before Christmas, things kind of picked up and was able to make a decision. I think as far as the Yankees, it's hard to think about all the factors, but I think with them, there was definitely a level of comfort, just like understanding and playing and knowing like guys like Judge and Stan and I played on Team USA. And even Booney, he used to live in Arizona before he took the job here. Him and I lived in the same neighborhood, so I knew him. So I think there was just some similarities. And then just thinking back to, players that I had played with that had played here before. They just always said so many great things. And so I think when, the conversation with the Yankees got serious, it just kind of felt right, and was, excited that they wanted me, and it was a place that I was excited to be.
Thank you.
We can take a final one from Brian Hoke.
Hey, Paul, just for the Cardinals fans, as you leave there, what are your memories of your time in St. Louis, and what's your message to the fans there?
Oh, I'm eternally grateful for the fans in St. Louis. They were amazing, and so thankful they welcomed me in like I was one of their own. And they're some of the most passionate fans in all sports, and they love the Cardinals. And it's very similar to the Yankees fans. They've been lifelong fans, generational fans, multi-generational fans. And I always felt, like, I don't want to use the word burden, but a responsibility to the fan base there. And I always wanted to give my best because of them. There's a responsibility to your teammates and all that, but similar to now playing with the Yankees, this is fans that are spending a lot of their hard-earned money and their time that they don't have much of to cheer us on. And you want to, win the game for them and put on a good show and bring a championship. So that was probably the disappointment, was we weren't able to reach that ultimate goal in St. Louis. It wasn't for a lack of effort, and just tried to give it everything I had. I had so many great memories and made so many great friendships there. So, it was incredible. So thankful for them.